Big Bang, and dreams come true. Here's draft. All right, Ultra Prime LNG.
There we go.
Let's see what gets banned away. So far, I've noticed things like the Nico, Cassante still open, LeBlanc we've been talking about today, myself and Jamada. So I'm kind of curious if Ultra Prime are willing to do a bit of a handshake deal here to open up Game 1.
I love that you bring up the LeBlanc because for Forge specifically, who has always been more of a specialized player with his champion pool, right? The Silas, the Akali, the LeBlanc. He's very much kind of that meta. It just seems like a very natural pick for Ultra Prime to gravitate towards, and they banning out the Nico themselves on blue side. Pretty interesting, but does still leave things like the Cassante open. With Vi off the table as well, you could always be looking at jungle. We have been seeing people play more of things like the Jace Maokai lately, but we do get Forge's LeBlanc, and I'm excited.
All right, LNG, what's their response? Cassante still open. They banned away Ricard Lyric, which is not something we normally see. Jace still seen as a high priority, but many teams moving away from it, but not LNG.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting, which is, I was just about to hit on that before LeBlanc got locked in, right? That Jace Maokai and just Jace overall, I feel like we've been seeing teams start to gravitate back towards it after like a week stint of deciding, yeah, you know what, this champion's not really for us. So we'll see what they do. Jace Renekton gives them strong soul lanes, both very flexible, right? Scout and Zika can opt to change it up if they wanted to try and dodge it on a matchup. And this also sets them up for like potentially Sejuani later on. So maybe not having to be as conscious about jungle bans coming through when there are still so many stellar options available for their comp.
Well, we're not going to see it yet, though, because it's Ultra Prime with their bottom lane. They're going to go for the strong 2v2 here. We're criticizing, we're talking about it being exploited, but Ultra Prime want to dive into it. As LNG aren't even thinking about bot side Lyric, they've got that strong Renekton that's constantly been banned away in recent history. And we get a jungler. So bot to the wayside for LNG, they don't care.
No, and we might need to be on the lookout for them to bring out something like, the Varus Heimer, which has been kind of coming back into a bit of a niche role in the meta. We've also seen Gala bring out the Tristana too. So I feel like you have a lot of options left for the side of LNG, which is why you aren't too concerned about bot lane being pinched. And funnily enough, it seems like LNG are on the same end of like, there's kind of enough decent junglers in the pool that we'd rather get Harry off of some of these comfort champions. Lenar has been something he has just loved to lean on. 100% win rate in 5 games.
Oh my god, that's huge. I mean, again, worth the ban away then at the very least for a player I think that's been a bit of a star. I mean, Harry has had some pretty great games so far, and again, for Ultra Prime, a team that's doing better than expected. Some of it you could go back and say that Harry was being a core carry. Is that no nah there? Let's see if there's a double topside ban Lyric, because Aphelios on Ultra Prime side, they're getting rid of the bot laners that are left available for Gala.
Yeah, and not really too much else where you can look to pinch, honestly. Just the support pool has been pretty diverse all split long, so wanting to get rid of some of those S-tier champions coming on through. I'm more curious about what the second one will be, because we talked about the Varus Heimer, and yeah, not wanting to give that Varus over.
Okay, makes sense. Kha'Zix's on the other side, but Gala still has Xayah with some of the pairing if they want to leave support for last pick. My only question here, Lyric, is what do Ultra Prime do? What's the next step? You have very volatile lanes, very snowball-heavy picks.
That's what I'm wondering as well, because I think it would be kind of nice if they were able to get a bit of disruption and CC under their belts along the lines of the Wukong that's still left standing. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see Ning go towards maybe a bit of a more skirmish-heavy option like a Viego when you already have a LeBlanc and Lucian that kind of want to set you up for a lot of burst early into the game, and it would be very easy to pair a jungler like that alongside it. But no, going the completely different route, going a very defensive option.
Wow.
Trying to play kind of both sides, in my opinion, where it improves their team fighting a little bit, gives them some catch-out potential, but at the same time, when you look at Ultra Prime's comp, it's not going to be about the 5v5. It's going to be all about the 1-3-1, finding picks, and really just abusing the mobility that your comp has.
I think this is like the second or third time ever in LPL that Cassante has not been picked, not been banned at all. Just finds its way through Ultra Prime, don't care about it, instead the Jax, as you mentioned. And we finish up with a Yuumi on the Xayah. So LNG, run me through, because there's a lot of range at play here in a regard through Scout, but we have a lot of skirmishing potential as well.
Yeah, you know, when I see their comp, and especially with what they're playing into, I just think of them as the blender. You know, Dominus going to be popped, the giant roots by Tarzan going to be thrown out, Yumi ult thrown on top of it at the same time, you know, like feathers bleeding on top of you. If Ultra Prime are ever just right in front of LNG, they're really going to feel some pain. That's why we said for Ultra Prime, really going to need to split up the map because the 5v5 from LNG looks solid.
Yeah. Other side, Ultra Prime, though, I mean, again, if I'm talking about skirmishing, they have very good early game here, especially once we get some key levels down towards that bot side. Also, a bit of mobility in the mix.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what build Forge ends up going because we have had both, like, Static Shiv LeBlanc played recently, but we've also had, like, the just normal LeBlanc builds coming. I actually believe it was Scout, just pulling out LeBlanc and just kind of going your standard AP carry build the other day. So if Ultra Prime want to dedicate to that side laning and pull them apart, they got to go back and look at that Weibo game and really just abuse that item.
Well, and we'll see, because Ultra Prime, a win against LNG is what's all in the cards for today. This would be huge. It would be game-breaking, really, for the LPL, because Ultra Prime would move up to 5. They'd move up past that little halfway point, up alongside members like the LNGs, like the Ninjas in Pajamas. More importantly, underneath the OMGs and the Weibos, which is the next tier. Ultra Prime with a hard task, with LNG being firm favorites in their own arena. Looking for yet another win in the column as well.
You know, I've been so happy with Renekton back. You know, champion that's been so divisive over the years. But here in the LPL, it just knows. It just means, you know, again, come like the 8-minute mark, come first Herald. LNG are going to want to fight it. LNG are going to be all up for trying to use that prio and get something going. And just seeing earlier skirmishes is nice.
True. And I mean, we have a lot of, I was going to say a lot of Renekton players, but it is true in the LPL. I think it's kind of built into LPL solo laners' blood. There's a lot of flexible players as well in the LPL. Scout, wow. Great trading under Forge. Even gets the clone. And just like that, I mean, Forge, oh, what a rough start to the lane. It's already begun.
I mean, if you run into the Jace level 1, right, he has access to so much. Get off with the Q, hammer form, jump in, and he's just abusing Forge in this 1v1. And my God, this gives me flashbacks. Because I still remember the matchup specifically. Irelia versus Sylas was when Forge first came into Vici. And the first time he, like, really truly got bodied in a mid lane matchup in 1v1, and Scout just solo killed him over and over again.
Yeah.
Not the fondest of memories.
Look, no, I'm sure not. Like, such a rookie coming in against one of the tenured players of the LPL, now especially. I mean, Scout's been around the league for so long. I shouldn't say now especially. I mean, it's been 8 years, 9 years or something since he joined up on EDG.
That's crazy.
Maybe 8, more like it. This should be his 8th, as 2016. I remember joining EDG after having time behind Faker on SKT as a sub. I think he only played 1 game in the end, but still, you have that history there for a reason. And this is a big deal because remember,
1 game in the LCK. I think it might have even just been like 1 game in Kespa or something like that.
Right. It was small. It was definitely small, eh? It was nothing big, but, you know, sitting behind Faker, one can imagine the experience you get playing with the greatest player of all time. As you know, Scout is that kind of player who now, again, has been around for so long, as we're saying, first time outside of an organization of EDG2 here in LNG. Lane going well, as we talked about. But bot side, just quick mention, Doggo and Sword Art having a bit of priority, pushing up Gala and Hung up against the turret. Meanwhile, Harry doing a little bit of the same against Zika, so all's well. It starts well for Ultra Prime here in this first game.
3 lanes prior to work with after the bounce back from Forge's wave in mid. It's going to mean that Ning can kind of just go unperturbed. And I think a big part of Ning's job this game is just going to be making sure mostly that his bot side can keep dominating in that 2v2 and really trying to snowball CS lead, get plates down, but then just covering the ganks that Tarzan's going to look for.
We'll speak of actually the flash counter-strike. It's matched as well. Permafrost going to come through. Tarzan, 1 hit away. First blood, Harry. The commitment to the cause was beautiful.
It really was. It feels, I'm a little bit sad for him that he wasn't able to pick up the set of double buffs for himself, but I believe Ning thinking like, hey, we got to get this kill before he comes on CC and just starts running away again. They're now in a solid position. We said, hey, kind of finding out where Tarzan is, making sure he isn't able to get any of his plans off, and for Ultra Prime, it already starts beautifully.
I mean, that top side, we talked about volatility of Renekton. But more importantly, we know what Harry's going to do later stages of the game. It was double flash committed there, though, Lyric, for Tarzan's one. We'll see if that hurts him at any point in the next couple of minutes. But for now, Tarzan is back towards the bottom side. A couple of camps behind as well, as Ning was able to get his first reset.
And I feel like for Ning, it shouldn't matter too much. The big question will be if LNG find an opportunity to go punish a flashless Harry in top and really get their Renekton going. Kind of like we said, by that 8-minute mark, by the time Herald spawns, and then start being able to play for those gold trades. I just want to walk back to something we were talking about earlier about which build Forge would go. Is going to end up going the static Shiv instead of just a normal kind of AP LeBlanc build, which I think is good because, again, it shows that Ultra Prime, I think, are conscious that if this game stays even, it's going to be a ton about side laning for Forge later on.
With Harry alongside him, it's going to be fun to watch out how Ultra Prime play past the mid game then. At the very least for now, Scout, just the usual, isn't it? Even with the chain down, I mean, Scout's so confident. Forge batted away. To be fair, though, with the Kachaya shot, even that damage trade is actually pretty nutty for the return.
And now it's going to be crazy, right? Because they're both low. You have some sustain coming out for Forge because he has fleet footwork. And now I'm kind of curious what Scout's going to do, or if maybe he's going to have to try and bring Tarzan in, especially now with having access to that Mimic for Forge. A slight overstep, and Scout is dead.
Just like that, lane turns around. A lot of wards placed by LNG, though, so even if Ning was nearby, he'd be spotted out in an instant. You can see LNG's due diligence to keep their mid lane a save. Massive priority. But of course, Ning not interested. He got first dragon instead. With a quick pick up here, just past the 5.5-minute mark.
First dragon, you could see Scout now having to go for the space that he really would prefer not to go to, especially when he doesn't have teleport up to get back to lane. He's going to rely on Hung relieving some pressure and helping him potentially try to find this reset.
What a legend. Good seeing Yumi in the game, as Hung is just pitching a ride for now. Zika close to topside turret getting a plate as that's Dominus used. Maybe just to threaten him out, Lyric. Maybe he just doesn't want to see him anymore. And there's no teleport on this Jax as well. So it makes sense that Zika just wants to make sure that he gets free time with the turret.
You can even see they're bringing Tarzan around, but Ning will be here. So we might potentially get a 2v2. And with the fact that Dominus is down, this might be pretty good for Ultra Prime. But now with Ning showing himself, definitely won't come to fruition.
No. No way. He's going to play it very cautiously. Not enough mana for Harry either as he backs away. As all in the bottom side. Doggo not level 6. Scarlet neither. As Hung has just returned to make this 2v2 a little bit more interesting. Just note, Lyric, 2v2 is going well for Ultra Prime. 10 CS lead here against Gala and Hung. Kind of what you expect, but we were criticizing Doggo and Sword Art coming into this. This is exactly what you want to see coming out of their early lane.
One plate picked up as well. And like you said, it is what you would want to see and expect to see from the matchup. And honestly, you'd even want Ultra Prime to be able to push this a bit further, especially with the fact that Forge is starting to be able to win out on some of these trades. Again, use like that fleet footwork sustain, be able to come back in and then poke Scott out. It's going to be about roaming opportunities down to that bot lane. Even if you don't find a dive necessarily, even zoning them off, denying more gold from Gala, getting plates on your AD carry. I think if we don't start seeing that by the time Static Shiv is done, then it will be a little bit questionable for Ultra Prime not pushing this advantage as far as it can go.
We'll see what happens over Herald, though. That's my next guess. That's my next question, rather. Because Herald's coming up in 5 seconds. And we've seen so many rotations from bot lanes of LPL, but the state's kind of strange down here. With the slow push coming through from Ultra Prime. Herald has now spawned. Waves at the to and fro. Lyric, my biggest question is whether Ultra Prime move their whole bot lane or if they just stay down here and they're culling. Okay, ult for ult. Gala not going to get too much in response.
It's going to be another plate. It's going to end up going down at some point. And LNG, now this is a situation where you can potentially contest, right? Because the big problem would be the fact that Ultra Prime's bot lane has Cryo, and they'd be able to move up first. But them staying down there in that 2v2, it would just be an outright 3v3 on top side. Tarzan not going to find his way into the pit in time, though. It's weird. It's just crazy. Ultra Prime so far dictating everything in this game so far.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm speechless. Like you said, Sword Art so heavily criticized. Ning for a long time heavily criticized. Forge pretty much across the board on Ultra Prime. 4 very heavily criticized players, and Harry not really having the notoriety or the tenure to be to be like really praised or criticized in either direction. But coming out ahead against so many legends of the Rift on the opposite side.
Yeah, and again, like Ultra Prime with a 2K gold lead here in this early game. We've seen flavors of this before, but it's always been how they transition, decision making, the classic things of like mid to bottom tier teams in the LPL. So a nice start, but we'll have to see what they can do as Ning is back up towards the top side. Harry has his flash again if he needs it. Tarzan obviously aware something's going on. As there's Glacial Prison. Okay, never mind. Zeke is just dead. Doesn't get to ulti. Tarzan comes in, but it's way too late.
Not going to be able to find anything off of it. We do see that no Herald opportunity will be present to be dropped top with the fact that Tarzan is able to just finish clearing out this wave. But Ultra Prime are going to keep this going. And you were just kind of talking about the transition into mid-game. Again, I feel like that's been one of the parts where Ultra Prime has been more solid. Like, it's not as explosive as you'd expect from maybe like a JDG or BLGs. Maybe I need to hold on.
Yeah, Culling is
look
there.
for it.
Tidal Wave as well. Gala doesn't have his own ultis. He flashes away. It's the exhaust used by a Hung. 2 summoners out of bot side. Ultra Prime hold on to theirs. And LNG's Gala and Hung are not getting a free ride at all. Neither is top side. It's all going well.
Yeah, everything so far going wrong. It's not even like LNG are going to necessarily come back into this game and like crazily outscale Ultra Prime when you have things like the Jax and a Sejuani to contend with. But really great job just playing this one out. Lane gank comes out from Ning with the Glacial Prison and doesn't even have time to react. Not even able to get a Dominus off like he'd probably hope.
Going to be putting the bottom side in the meanwhile. Oh, dear Lord. Tarzan trying to zone off. Trying to get away his doggo. Yeah, he's not going to get the ult from this. Unfortunately, only goes to Ning.
Now, Ultra Prime hoping they can find an opportunity to do Dragon, but not going to be able to do it so easily with the fact that Tarzan's helping Gala and Hung get control over the spot side. But look at the map. Forge going to start moving down.
Oh. Doggo out of mana. The range, how will it affect him as he's getting out of there? He's got both summoners down with double TP. Forge in an instant regrets this decision. Scout now looking for the chase as Yuumi is just a pain to keep up with. Forge with the biggest mistake for Ultra Prime so far. Gala going to get the root down, but LNG looking for more on the dive.
They have a full wave coming in. They can wait this one out.
Zone him back on into turret. Doggo hides behind his jungle as Tarzan now accentuating the poke alongside Scout. Sword Art out of mana for the healing as well. Look at the range lyric. They're just slowly but surely getting them low. Gala's got the wave coming in. Ultra Prime like, which direction do we go? Somebody help us. Flash away from Sword Art, but all in an instant, they're all dead. Hung will happily sacrifice his life as Scout takes one turret shot for good luck. And LNG have awoken.
LNG finding a way to come back in. That was painful watching for Ultra Prime of like the slow burn. You know, people say like your life flashes before you, like when you're about to die. But I kind of imagine death to be like this, where you have to just slowly wait for the inevitable that you know is coming. And oh my god, yeah, it feels bad for Ultra Prime. We're gonna see here. Again, you don't want to run into the champions that LNG have. You'd be running into things like the Yuumi ultimate coming out, twisted advance from Tarzan, locking you down. You're all very short range. That's what Ultra Prime have been doing so well up until now because they were pulling them apart. And like I said, this just hurts. They know exactly what's going to happen. They know they're going to die, but what could they do?
Absolutely diddly squat. Scout came in with more health. Scout came in with more mana.
I don't even want the replay. Let's just take it off the screen.
No, the observer's got to show it, don't they? They put it slow-mo as well. And we just get to see Gala, Scout ripping them apart. Double kill for Scout on his Jace as well. Now has an Eclipse lyric. And before we're talking about Forge, what he can do with the static shift in the side lane. I mean, now LNG have a very strong mid laner who is going to burst and jewel pretty much anyone on this map at this point.
Yeah, if you can just keep whittling them down, but it's actually Ultra Prime looking for the engage.
Scout flashed that. He had to get away from the ulti. Is now one in return. Tarzan running with Hung as Forge taking a lot of burst yet again. Gala gets the root, but Harry is here. It's a top lane difference for this Dragon. Ultra Prime want it desperately. But look at what his movement has cost Zika. Fun in the sun up in the top lane.
Being able to get some gold back into his pockets after, after going down earlier when he did get ganked. He is still up in CSO, which will be fine. But he's going to get what he wants because now it allows him to start hovering over and going to try to take this scuttle.
Counter-Strike going to be used, but Slice and Dice in response. Sword Art is here. Good damage. Flash away. Zika greedy with the pathing. Wanted to scuttle there, Lyric, as Ning wants to steal. Tarzan, how's your smite today, brother? It's good enough, and Ning won't even make a response.
So now we're paying attention to Herald. It's about to come up in 20 seconds. For Ultra Prime, they already have topside control, considering that they just gave up this dragon. Would be nice if they were able to get a bit of deeper vision down, but with Sword Art still making his way from base, that won't be a possibility. But look where Gala is on the map. If Ultra Prime are fast on this one, they should be able to just get it for free, but doesn't look like they're just going to start it off right off the bat.
Easy as you like, wouldn't it? Gold still surprisingly in Ultra Prime's favor. Still at like 1,500 in their way. As you said, the second Herald maybe changes that a little bit, but LNG not going to give it away willy-nilly. Culling going to be used onto Tarzan, gets him to half HP. He doesn't have the March of the Ents available. We're about 10 seconds from that, but Ultra Prime obviously going to be aware that Tarzan's got it soon. So Herald starts in their favor, and Ultra Prime paying the respect for now.
You can see them slowly starting to bring Forge over, so they still want to fight.
Oh. Well, Smite does go down. Meanwhile, Doggo just by himself. Scout gets free damage with Gala. Harry isolated as well. Ultra Prime have come into this without their mid laner, mind you, as Tarzan gets another free flash thanks to Nature's Grasp. Ladies and gentlemen, they got him. LNG have just taken away Doggo, who's having such a fantastic game, or at least was at some point here, Lyric. But LNG got the Herald on top of that as well.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to barrel down this mid lane. A LeBlanc and Anami should not feel safe just sitting under this turret. Luckily, Ning's not too far by, so no type of dive would really result in any threat. But it's plays like that and question marks like that still make you doubt Ultra Prime in terms of...
Yeah.
I mean, they were just kind of all over the place, right? We're going to get a replay here, but they could have started off this Herald right away. Herald spawned, and Gala was still in bot. Here they are wanting to take this fight because Forge is drumming up. Forge is still so far, leaving Doggo exposed like this. Just kind of ends up being a tragic sprint moment coming out from Ultra Prime. Again, not coordinated with what they wanted to do on the map. You could have even just had Forge keep pushing if you weren't going to just start off the Herald right away when Gala was still bot. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yep. Neither do I, but I know that this is not the first time for Doggo or Sword Art. I mean, the bottom lane, the 2v2, not just necessarily in the lane. There's been a lot of moments this split and even last from Doggo that you're just wondering what is going on from a player that has had high highs, not only in the LMS/PCS in the past, but even in the LPL and BLG when he was covering for Uzi. At the start of that BLG split, Doggo was insane. So, again, just a little bit sad as Forge.
I mean, hell, think about MSI. MSI as well when he finally got that like claim to fame when he filled in for PSG, right? That's really where he made his name and how well he was performing at that tournament. So he's shown he can perform at the highest levels of competition. He just needs that consistency.
Yeah, and unfortunately, haven't seen it here. Early start to the lane was great, but for now, 1 and 2. You can see Gala now with the bounty after that, even being down CS. There's the culling, but again, he's out in front of the whole team against Tarzan. Flashes away. He'll survive, but Tarzan ulti finds another victim in Sword Art. LNG not willing to close the gap as they move down towards bottom side. And no dragon yet, but still finding a good couple of picks and summoners yet again.
LNG still just going to posture aggressively to keep maintaining vision control. And this is what you want to see, right? I feel like a lot of teams can be a little bit sheepish about trying to push that vision line deeper. And even if you know it's not a place where you can necessarily constantly defend, I mean, if you're going to do it now, like where Hung needs to be off on a reset timing anyway, it gives enough vision safety for Scout to be able to play that bottom lane very aggressively, and then they're wasting time clearing out that vision. You've already got your reset, you're coming back on the map, and then you have a new window to try and get vision down once again.
Cool. Close call from Forge. LNG advancing that vision line. I mean, it's red buff city that they should be able to take with so much priority. Forge just running in for a little bit of a taste of what's going on, but Scout's got a level advantage. Scout's going to have that turret with the next wave as well. And LNG, for the first time in this game, it feels like will have the gold lead as well. Lyric, we're talking a little bit before. Please.
Actually, you should probably go. I probably shouldn't derail us. You should probably ask me what you're going to ask me.
It's that American-Australian, that bloody
like
2-second delay.
You said red buff city, and it just made me wonder, like, right, we have like Ionia, Bandle City, all these places in Runeterra. I guess where would red buff, come from?
Great question.
Which region?
Where's Ivan from?
I have no idea.
Is it just Runeterra? You know, when they don't have a place for someone, it's just Runeterra. Is culling. Gala, good ulti. Doesn't ulti early and gets out of there. Hung just in case, has to pop his own. Either way,
yeah.
I feel like that's
apparently
where
Ivern just comes from Runeterra's forests.
Ah, that's just saying he's from
It's
all over,
lame.
essentially.
No, it's kind of like saying he's a hobo, honestly, right? Like, for being real.
Yeah. But wherever Ivan's from, that's the man. That's where red buff, blue buff are from, surely. Because Ivan used to kill them. Ivan was like, it was a serial killer, wasn't he? Something about Ivan just used to kill everyone. I actually think Ivan used to be a serial killer. That's the law. If anyone would correct me, feel free. No, he was a bad man.
Oh,
very bad
Ning
man
also
Ning
might be a bad man.
Yeah, and he'll regret that. He will oh god, and the root got Sword Art and Doggo as well. Gala thinking about chasing Sword Art, slowed down. It's another twisted advance, down he goes, but the turnaround good for Ultra Prime for the time being, but Scout has made his entrance known. Zeke is also here, and Harry might have to run through him. Counter-Strike going to give him a little bit more time as still underneath the turret. Grandmaster's Might helps out Scout. Still there, ambitious son. But he manages up to 2 turrets as well, as it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of LNG to still get the Dragon.
And now we're at a point where you can see what LNG are doing, right? Constantly dropping sides, just over-grouping, and really putting emphasis on just controlling one part of the map at a time. And it's leading them to be able to find these consistent picks where Ultra Prime are widespread, just slight oversteps, and good forces coming out from LNG, really leading into these picks that have once again netted them another Dragon. Because we're going to see here, Ultra Prime wanting to try to force this dive on mid after, pushing out those side lanes, but not really having enough of a wave. You're doing it into Maokai Yuumi, which I just do not think is a good idea. And then with those roots connecting onto Sword Art and Doggo as well, it just guarantees the kills to go through for LNG.
Ultra Prime at least getting a response, but still they have to hard commit every time. And Lyric every time. It's more gold going into LNG's back pocket. Now with the gold lead. Now with 2 items on the Scout as well. Fully stacked Muramana. Even Forge is struggling behind. So all I have to ask is what happens next? Because Ultra Prime, we talked a little bit about, their composition needing, I guess, a snowball effect, right? We needed Doggo and Forge to be in a position of power. Lanes had to be pretty decent too. So what's next?
Honestly, for Ultra Prime, I feel like it's kind of what you're looking for now. Play through vision, try to find a pick in the enemy jungle. You have Glacial Prison, into something like a bubble or the tidal wave coming out from Sword Art can lead into a pick. But I feel like it's going to be very hard because you saw Weibo run a very similar comp and strategy to this the other day, and they did not team fight almost at all. They were just pulling the enemy around the map, furthering their gold lead with CS, with objectives. And the fact that Ultra Prime haven't been able to do that, and LNG are now the ones that are up, it's going to be rough. Because now you're at a point where LNG are so close to Seoul, you're on a bit of a timer yourselves, then Elder will be spawned. You can't ignore that objective.
Just drawn all waves around the map. I mean, even then, Ning pressured out, ultis. Tarzan holds onto his own. And LNG continue putting threat on the sidelines. We were meant to talk about Ultra Prime and how their sidelines could take over. It's only Harry right now having a good time. He's huge.
Scout's
He's
just too
absolutely
large.
massive.
What can they do? What can they do when this Jace is able to pick up so many kills so early on? Right now, okay, Forge shooting on some components, but Scout having 2 completed items, just able to stay in their face. And I guess even though we talked about how LNG should feel better about teamfights, we haven't really hit on the specifics of why, and all of it just the zone control. The zone control and the disengage. Because Ultra Prime definitely have enough damage to contend with LNG, but the problem is just too many things can stop them right in their tracks, and that's why we didn't see that pass dive be able to work out. That's why Ultra Prime's best opportunities are in situations like now, where it's kind of just bot laners and junglers hanging around mid, and then maybe a Glacial Prison into the burst from a Lucian can be enough, but still would have to be worried about TPs being able to come through, as all solo lane TPs are up, so can very quickly turn into a 5v5.
At least Ultra Prime have set themselves up in the side lanes. As you were saying, the situation where they are now, Ning's been throwing out some of the Glacial Prisons and looking for some picks. Doggo with his 2 and a bit items, which should be getting closer towards 3 shortly. Should have a possibility of laying down that damage. But for now, LNG defending quite fine as Dragons 2 minutes up. Baron always a threat if things go awry with a couple of the pickoffs that we've seen. Just a quick tangent back. Bloodthirster now picked up by Doggo as well. So you're expecting a hell of a lot of burst towards someone like Gala, even Scout if he's caught towards mid. As it is just Gala by himself. Doggo, best of luck as Tarzan keeps hovering.
They really want to find something here. Don't have much to play for, but Tarzan's going to go.
Oh, Gala holds onto his ult. I mean, that's some temperament as Ning ulties out of Tarzan, trying to save his team. Scout comes in with 1 shot, and all of a sudden, Doggo at half HP, even has to cleanse. Yeah, this is still happening in side lanes, but Harry is a Jax for 2 items, so we're getting there. However, he's in trouble. Oh, dear Lord.
He's dead.
Well, with that shot, with Tarzan, you'd think so, right? Twisted Advance, all you need. Bramble Smash first. Tarzan waiting for the lockdown.
Oh,
finds
look
it.
at Ultra Prime on the minimap.
How quickly can they do it, though? I mean, hang on. Harry's taken a long time to die.
Okay, we're going to see if they can get it down. TP's able to come through at least for Zika. Will be a 3v4 in favor of Ultra Prime. They might just get this.
I think they will. No smite on the other side, but it's about the fight now, isn't it? As Gala's taking on the rest of the team, Sword Art and Forge running for their life. Sword Art will die. That's Baron of 3 members, actually, because Harry died to start it off, as Ning now has to verse this Renekton Lyric. There's only going to be a Baron on Forge. Is it worth it? Is the biggest question.
Definitely not. You know, had like maybe another one been able to get away, you know, maybe at least one of your bot laners had it, so that way you have like Baron buff waves in sides and in mid. Like, sure, you know, maybe the gold isn't there with all the map control that we just saw LNG able to get off of those kills, but yeah, I don't know. Feels bad for Ultra Prime because it was very quick thinking, right? See so many dedicated towards bot side, no jungle able to make it here. They get it on through, but so much burst coming out through both Zika and Gala, and I love it. Gala just continuing to run Sword Art down, and look at the minimap. Ning almost got away. He was so close to getting that recall off, but at the end of the day, close doesn't cut it.
It doesn't. LNG with a almost 3k gold lead now. Dragons up. That should be an easy take. There's no Baron on the other side of the map. Forge is now grouping in the hopes that he can help this push out, but Lyric from start to finish, only a couple of moments, I guess, in the first 10 minutes of the game. Well, what am I saying? I feel like, not from start to finish, but Ultra Prime gave us a lot of hope early. There was so much to lean on with how they were playing the game. And there have been some great moments, I guess you'd say improvement from, you know, previous games. But LNG just keep finding windows. Even when it looks optimistic like this. Oh, God. Even when it looks optimistic like this. Oh, dear Lord, it looks optimistic, but no longer. Culling comes through. Gala gets a free kill on jungle. Harry, why are you TPing here? Is it good? Is it good? Wait, maybe it's okay. It's TP. I take it back. However, there's now no teleport for base. There's no teleport for base. Maybe it's not good because Gala's just free hitting. He flashes into Doggo. The root comes in. Scout's just ending. I take it back. It was not a good teleport. Scout gets to freely end the game.
The Baron buff is back at base. So as long as Forge doesn't die, actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All the members of LNG
He's going to die. Oh, he's going to get solo killed as well. It does not matter, no. Lyric. Even the Baron buff recall, it does matter. It doesn't matter for LNG, but for Ultra Prime, boy oh boy, that is one way to lose your game in a sudden instant.
And we need to remember that all of this game kind of culminated in one play. It was that one fight around Second Herald where up until that point, Ultra Prime had full control. And, you know, like looking how LNG ended up playing the rest of the game, I'm sure they still would have been able to find ways to come back in and you know, potentially win it out. But it was that like weird split decision where Ultra Prime are like, okay, we're not going to start off this Herald. Like we have our LeBlanc down there pressuring at bot lane. Maybe we can get some turrets off this. Then they see LNG